7:03 on Tuesday, January 28th, 37 degrees, beautiful sunrise, windy today, highs in the mid-50s. Good morning, I'm John Aaron.
And I'm Michelle Basch. Our top local story, the days may be numbered for students who have their cell phones in class in D.C. WTOP's Luke Luker tells us about a proposed bill to ban those phones.
D.C. Ward 2 Council member Brooke Pinto says there is no greater distraction than our cell phones, and they have no place in our learning environment. The new legislation would require public and charter schools to have a policy that would prohibit using any personal devices like cell phones, laptops, smartwatches throughout the day. In her announcement, she pointed to slacking test scores where only a third of D.C. students met English expectations and a quarter in math. Students would be allowed to use them in emergencies or for managing health. Arlington County Schools passed a similar ban last month. Luke Luker, WTOP News.
Happening today, D.C. Councilmember Trayon White faces a council hearing on whether or not he will be expelled from his job. It comes as he awaits trial on a federal bribery charge. With more on how today's hearing will play out, here's our Nick Iannelli.
For Trayon White, this hearing in front of his colleagues will be similar to what you might see in a courtroom, though the rules are a bit different.
Trayon White may be represented by a person of his choice, whether or not they are an attorney at law. He may have that representative speak or question witnesses on his own behalf.
That's Zach Israel, a former ANC commissioner and an expert on D.C. law. White will hear evidence against him, and he'll have a chance to defend himself. Following the hearing, a vote on whether to expel White will be put on the schedule for next week. If 11 of the 13 council members vote to expel at that point, then White would immediately be kicked off the council, and a special election would need to be held in the near future to replace him. Nick Iannelli, WTOP News.
Changes in immigration enforcement under the Trump administration have Montgomery County residents sharing information on social media. But WTOP's Kate Ryan reports not all of what you may see being shared is accurate.
It's not panic, says Montgomery County Councilmember Kristen Mink, but
my office and I personally have gotten calls from people, and I've also been, tagged in social media posts and so on, who are, saying things like, we're seeing, ICE is here, they're doing a raid.
But Mink says when her office did check into it,
in some cases, those incidents have not been ICE at all. And in the other cases, they were not what one would generally call a raid.
And in other cases, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents were carrying out targeted arrests of criminal suspects. Mink, like other county officials, is working to make sure her constituents have accurate information to alleviate anxiety, especially within the immigrant community. Kate Ryan, WTOP News.
Reaction continues to pour into news of the death of our fantastic co-worker, evening anchor Dimitri Sotis. He passed away suddenly over the weekend at age 55. One of the things that energized Dimitri was breaking news, especially breaking weather news. Here's former WTOP traffic anchor Bob Marberg.
Dimitri in the studio would look up at the radar display and get a sense of where the activity was, and then he would dash out into the hallway where we had large maps posted and figure out exactly where that was by name, and then he would go back in the air and tell people where it was. It wasn't heading toward us or away from us. Dimitri cared about every single person in the listening area and wanted them to know individually and collectively where the weather was, where it was threatening.
If you missed last night's 7 p.m. show on WTOP full of special guests honoring Dimitri, you can listen to it at WTOP.com.
It is worth your time. And coming up on WTOP in Money News.
The cost of a new vehicle has never been higher. Leasing one is more expensive, too. I'm Jeff Claiborne.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.